residential tech talk, lighting specialist, arc residential tech,
Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. On this week's podcast, Mike Gleason joins us from Austin, Texas, where he is Director of Sales for Skyworth USA, manufacturer of the Clarus S1 outdoor Google TV, companion P100 Portable LED Display, and the Canvas Art Display. Mike's career in consumer electronics spans a list of companies that reads like a who's who of the history of the AV integration technology space. From the early days of Mitsubishi Digital in the late 90s to the first consumer plasma TV in the US at Fujitsu General, to stints with Sharp Elite, the distributor AVAD, Noel's Monster, Riva, and Austere, I'm sure that he has a lot of great stories to tell. Today, we'll learn more about some of those recollections of the historical stops along his career and find out how his first year at Skyworth USA has been going so far. Mike Gleason, thanks for joining us today on the podcast.
Thanks a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, we're recording this on May 22nd. I was just in Austin actually last week for a Lutron event introducing some new Ketra lighting at their manufacturing facility there. And I mean, what a great tech hot spot that is. And it's amazing how that town has grown. How are things in your area today?
All right. I live north of Austin in a little town called Hutto. I used to live west of Austin. I moved a few times here. I moved here in 2008 from New York and never coming back. It's hot. Oh, it's always hot. I think this week it's 95 to 100 every day. There's warnings to stay inside. Tell you a really funny story. When I first moved here, it was July. It was 11 a.m. I said, I'm going to go for a bike ride. And we lived by the lake, and it was about a 3-mile ride to the lake. And I rode. I'm like, hey, this is great. First time on a bike all year. I realized we were going down. I was going downhill the whole time. It was 110 degrees out.
Ooh.
And I had to ride back uphill. I rode about a mile, got off the bike, walked it. Walking was hard. And at one point, I saw a shade, and I'm riding the bike, and I just crashed into the shade, just for shade to rest. 4 people stopped their car, saw the crash, asked if I wanted a ride back to my house. And all I could think of is we just bought this house. I just saw my neighbors. They saw me leave gleefully. I can't go back in a pickup truck on my bike. So I got the momentum, rode the bike, and got home, walked into my pool with all my clothes on, stayed there, which was warm, stayed there probably an hour. Didn't ride the bike again all summer.
Oh my!
So I learned a little bit about the Texas heat and how damaging it is to be.
Let me tell you.
There.
Yeah,
So,
let me tell you. I'm in the Midwest, and it's not too cool today, and it's way too early for this kind of heat. So, little concerning, but I'd rather not be like cloudy and rainy and chilly, right now. So, it's a tough one, but yeah, it can get roasty there, and it's not exactly a dry heat, is it? So you're getting the humidity as well.
Yeah. A lot of sweating here in Austin, which is good for a big guy like me.
There you go. Well, you look great. Look super healthy. So good for you on that. And I think the last time we saw each other in person was actually at CD Expo last September, and I felt like you were really early on in your tenure there. You're still early in the first year or so at Skyworth, but you started in July in your role there. Is that correct?
I started in May.
Oh, May.
Early May. John Halmish brought me on board at the time, and we were really just kind of putting the foundation of the business. We didn't really have any products yet. So the first 6 months, like 6 to 7 months, was really foundational. They didn't really understand the CDA business, so we had to teach them the CDA business, what's a custom installer. They brought people from China. We drove around to dealers and really investigated so we could really understand it. And they're extremely patient company. All they want to do is learn from these guys. And after CS this year, they did the same thing, brought people around to dealers to talk to them, really get their insights, which is really valuable because I know what I know, but it really helps when the corporation really dives into the strategy we're trying to incorporate here.
Well, that's great. I want to get into more detail about that plan and what's who Skyworth is as a company and why they're interested in the CI channel. But let's just, before we do that, and we'll spend most of our time talking about Skyworth, just touch on some of those highlights from your career, because I remember so vividly those early days of the plasma TV and Fujitsu General just being like kind of the one to see when you go to a trade show booth, and just how amazed everyone was by not only a flat television, but just the resolution at the time, which I thought there's just no beating this. Is the best it's ever going to be. Of course, ridiculous now, but what was it like in those early days with Mitsubishi Digital and then Fujitsu, then Sharp Elite after that?
So Mitsubishi, I kind of grew up at Mitsubishi. I'll tell you a really quick funny story. I worked for I was going to college at Trenton State College, now the college in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I was a math major. Wanted to be an actuarian. Boring job.
Wow,
I can't
that's
even
a
see
tough one.
myself as. And um, I got a summer job selling vacuum cleaners door to door. I didn't think that was a job for me, but I did it. Did really well. Rainbow cleaning systems. My friends hated me for at least 6 months. Um, but I made 12 grand in 1987 in 2.5 months.
Oh
And I
man.
went back to school and I got smart and said, "Oh well, I don't need school now." And quit college. Long story short, I decided that I needed to go back to college, but I needed a job just to help pay for it. And I got a job working in the warehouse at Mitsubishi. So I'm not like a lot of these other stories where I had this huge passion for TV. I had no passion for TV, but I worked in the warehouse and never left. I worked my way up. I wanted to get in sales. I was tutored by John Esposito, who runs a record label now, and really smart guys, and Kevin Sullivan, who I'm sure you know from Hitachi days, and these guys really helped me get into sales and learn my craft, and then got lucky and got a job at Fujitsu when they were really early on, and really changed the arc of my career. It was a great place to be at. And we started small. I mean, Jeremy, we had. I think in the beginning we were selling 100 pieces a month, and we had one customer, Electrograph, Sam Taylor, and
Yeah.
the picture wasn't great. I'll never forget. I went to a custom installer in San Francisco, and I had my 42-inch TV on top of a projection TV. Projection TV looked much better, and my pitch was, "But can you have the Jetsons
Yeah.
with your projection TV?" And it sold. We sold a lot, and then we had a big change with our AVM chip, and it changed the picture quality. And as you mentioned, picture quality was awesome. Dealers made a lot of money on the product. There's a famous dealer who was unfortunately closed, Lyric Hi-Fi in New York. Um, uh, uh, I'd see him years later, and he used to argue with me and complain about our policies. And then he would say to me, "Oh my God, you guys were the best." And I said, "What about all those times you call me up and yell profanities at me?" He'd say, "Oh, you were just kidding." But these
What?
guys really had a good Harvey Electronics, and
Yeah,
and
Harvey.
all these people did really well making profit on video, probably more profit than the audio, which was a really weird time in the business. I still have a 55-inch in my house. It accessed the heater for the
Yeah.
upstairs part of my home. But I told my kids it's never going away. If it stops working, it'll be converted to a tabletop, and I'll always have that.
Yeah, it's a museum piece now. But you're
Exactly.
right. Yeah, I think the 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 grid was aided greatly by the demise of the plasma TV when they started when LEDs started to happen and we stopped sucking all the energy out of the grid to run them, right? And of course, we all had to refill our plasma, every so often when they emptied out, when they leaked out, right? That was the big.
Oh, ABS Forum was responsible for that, I want to say.
Where
All
did
these
that come
people.
from? What was that all about? Like
It
just
was
people being
like this
friendly?
was before Twitter or anything, but ABS Forum was a pretty popular place where people would get information. And people started saying, "Oh, we got to refill the plasma," and I'm sure it didn't start at ABS Forum, but people used to go into places and say and tell me, "Well, how often do you have to refill that plasma?" And, or if you lay it down, you break it immediately. No, 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 no. So there was a lot of rumors about plasma. Probably started from the LCD guys.
Wow.
Um, just kidding. I I think people didn't really understand what the technology was, which was part of the problem. They
Mm,
loved it, but they didn't really understand it. And Pioneer excelled in this category, and then Samsung excelled, and Sony excelled in it too. It
yeah.
was a beloved category for that 8 year time frame from 2000 to 2008. And as you said, LCD came in and destroyed plasma.
Yeah, and price points came down, and it was people had to learn how to run their business again because you couldn't just make all your profit off of a TV anymore. So it did change the business model there for a while,
Yeah,
as high priced, premium items do through the history of the integration business. But I mean, obviously, Sharp Elite, another big brand, and then Avid, a really important player in the distribution space. But the one that jumps out at me is, of course, Monster, where Noel, a legend in the industry, but I would imagine, and we're going to be very nice about this because I've had conversations with folks who worked for Noel, and they were fairly frank about their conversation, and then they regretted it afterwards and said, "Can you please adjust what I just said because I didn't mean to say it like that." But I know Noel. He was really generous with me, but I could see where he'd be a really challenging guy to work for. What was it like working at Monster during those days?
so I was recruited by Dina there, and I have to say it was awesome. Now,
Okay, good.
90% of it was awesome. The 10% with Noel, and I had my run-ins with Noel all the time. They weren't always awesome, but I got along with Noel all the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, I should say. And the cool thing about it was I was what I thought was a seasoned sales guy by then, and I kind of came in where I there's nothing I need to learn, but I learned so much at Monster.
Hmm.
He had these mottos, and I still use them today. Like right now, response time, which is don't wait a day to answer it within 24 hours, and which has been my motto ever since. Or seeing it through the eyes of the customer, which is my favorite. When you're doing a presentation, don't look at it through your eyes. Look at it through their eyes and what they're hearing from you. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of stuff like that that was just a different way to think about doing stuff. He was a perfectionist, which was
Hmm.
good.
Yeah.
And I, I honestly it was a great learning experience. And I was tasked to do a lot of fun stuff there, and it was after Beats. It was the day after they lost Beats,
Hmm.
so it was also a time when we were trying to get in our own headphone business, but it was fun. I have no problem saying I'm from Monster. I'm proud of it, and it was a great time.
Well, for a while there, Monster, the trade show booths, whether it was CEDIA or CES, it was just the place to be. There was so much enthusiasm there, and I'm sure, again, it was whatever folks can do to have a great, income path in terms of selling. There's a lot of popularity there with the dealer base, and Monster created products that people wanted, had a brand that people recognized, which is not always the case in the industry, but that's a really cool little stop off there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there, we don't want to spend the whole time talking about the past because now you're at Skyworth USA, and you mentioned how they were exploring the CI channel when you first started a year ago. Now, what was their initial when you came on board? What was the initial interest in the channel? Why the channel play for them?
So I think they didn't know what the channel was, to be perfectly frank. So Skyworth is a $9 billion TV company. They're number one in China in OLED TV. They're number one in smart TV activation. They make over 110 products. They're doing business in over 100 countries. They did business in the U.S. prior to me getting there, and still with opening price point product, like really inexpensive, dirt cheap product.
Mm.
But they made some other great products. They just never brought it to the U.S.
Okay.
So we had a new CEO came in about 2 years ago. He's 34 years old, speaks perfect English, and likes to do everything Americans do, which is play golf and go out to eat. But he is kind of a visionary because he said, "Listen, we're gonna pull away from this opening price point stuff, and we're gonna bring in some better products. Some of the products that we make that are innovative to the market, not necessarily me too, and we'll figure out a place to sell the products later." So John Hamish kind of directed, and he was there. He unfortunately left after I got there, but he kind of directed them into the CI channel. John called me up, asked me if I was interested in the role, brought me in because I worked with him at Sharp Elite.
Mm.
And it was my job until we had product to really teach him the channel. And Li Fangfang is the CEO's name here in the U.S. And he told me recently that he didn't really get it until we got to CDA. Then his eyes were completely opened. He understands challenges, and he's probably the biggest supporter at the company of this channel. And because we think that this channel can, if people can make money, we can make money because we're not owned by the Chinese government. We're a public company. We want to make a profit like everybody else does. So we need to make product that's profitable for us, profitable for the installer, and then it has to perform. So I would tell them, same thing I did at Fujitsu. You can set up all these cards the right way. It's like a house of cards. You pull one card, which is the product quality in the bottom. If that's poor, the house of cards breaks.
Yeah.
And so we push quality being the really most important part. It's got to look good. It's got to work good. And frankly, at CD was the first time I saw a lot of these products. Some of them were prototypes, but some were close to production. And I have to say the products are unbelievable. I'm really excited about the products. And so the market we set up is typical what you'd see in new products. We're going through regional distribution. We're going through probably more rep wholesale, even though that's kind of faded out in the market. We have found some interesting people that are willing to take a chance. We're taking a chance on them to try to drive the business rather than the national guys. And we got a lot of people excited about the brand. So we started with Full Sun, which we started shipping first of the year, which is Full Sun is 3,000 nits brightness. It's the brightest TV on the market. It's IP66, best protection on the market. Then my favorite demo, which I can't do here, it's IK10 tempered glass. Usually at this point, I'll take my hand and I'll smack the screen and wake everybody up that's near me, and just to show that you can't break it. So if you install this next to a pool on a golf course and a stray golf ball hits, it'll bounce off, as opposed to potentially breaking it. So, and then we do include a soundbar mount. It's got two handles to install it. Thing I learned from Fujitsu days, if you remember those TVs. And then it's got an aggressive price in retail. Our plan in the market is not to be number one share. We're a new company, but we'd like to be number two or number three. That's our goal. And we think we have the margin to do it. We think we have the product, and we'll talk more about the product, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, you start with outdoor, which was just such a growth category, especially during and after COVID. And there's some established there's a couple established brands there on the video side, and you mentioned the differentiations there, which is really useful. The control platform seems to be or the content platform seems to be a selling point as well with the Google TV. How important is that as a differentiation for your brand?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago nobody had smart TV in the outdoor brands, but because it's hard to hook things up to it because of the weather,
Yeah.
uh, streaming is really really important.
Hmm.
A lot of times, while people might still have Control 4 Crestron hooked up to it, they won't have any other thing, and they'll just use the data from the TV. And so that's why it's really important. This stuff's probably not near the house because it's full sun. It's probably out in the yard somewhere far away from the rack. So it needs to work via one wire for the IP port and be self sustaining in the TV so that you can stream right off it. The sound bar is enclosed, so you don't have to add audio. We'd love for you to add better audio, but if you can't do that, we do include the 100-watt sound bar as well.
Right. Right. Yes. And from my experience, like there are certain things you can get the internal smart TV capability on a certain brand, but then there are a limit on the apps that you can get. So you may still end up having to get an external dongle device, like a Roku or Apple TV or something, and then you're dealing with that whole weather issue, which you mentioned, and those are not rated for outdoors, so you're struggling with that. But with the direct sunlight too, that seems like a pretty big feature, and obviously the glass quality. So you don't really have to worry as much about the position of it being kind of in an eaves kind of situation, or making sure you cover it when you're not using it, that kind of thing. So it gives you a lot more
We don't even
options.
have to cover it. I mean, we're not
At all. Yeah.
it's a full sun outdoor TV. It's meant to be enjoyed, but it's not meant to be protected. That's how we built the TV.
Hmm.
So it's not I like to say it's not a barbecue grill, it's a TV. So you don't have to treat it as such when it's outside.
Yeah.
I can understand why people think they do, but let's say you're outside and pollen comes and gets on top of it. All you got to do is take a hose and wash it off,
Yeah.
um, and wipe off the excess water. But if you want to avoid the pollen, yeah, it's maybe a good idea to cover it, but you don't have to cover it for protection, hail, or anything else.
And the cold weather, that's not an issue either. Is there a limit on how cold you can go? Like if you're like in the Dakotas or something like that, you're gonna want to.
Yeah, so it'll operate at -5 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll work up to 130 or negative 130 degrees Fahrenheit non-operating.
Oh wow.
So in those locations where it gets colder than -130, maybe or -30, I'm sorry, you may want to cover it, but that's about the only reason you would cover it. And
Yeah.
then on the top spectrum, it works up to 122 degrees in operating and 140 in non-operating.
Yeah, and if you're out there watching TV at 122 degrees, then you've got issues, because that doesn't
Yes,
sound like fun at all.
yes.
Unless you're in a
Unless you're in the
very
pool.
yeah. I was gonna say you're like in a pool with ice cubes floating in it, to keep it
Exactly.
from getting too warm. Uh, but and the cold, I won't comment on the cold weather people, because that's a whole other element of society as well. But maybe you're out there in your big parka too. Actually enjoying it. So, but that's great. It gives a lot of options. Now, what are the size? Is it single size right now? I forget what the dimensions are on that.
I'm sorry, we have 75 full sun and 65 full sun. We're in the process of shipping partial sun right now. We'll have three sizes for that: 55, 65, and 75. And the retail is 7,000 for the full sun 75 and 5,000 for the full sun 65. And dealers make a pretty good margin of that.
Okay, so the
Probably the
partial
best margin in the industry.
and the partial sun options. The reason for that would be just price point to
Yeah, price point. It's not as bright. It doesn't have that screen. It's got a matte screen, so it absorbs the light. It's meant to be in like a deck that's or porch that's partially covered in sun. The sun comes on it sometimes, sometimes not. The protection's IP55, so you don't have to go as high. That's protection, and it's a way for us to get to lower price points to still meet that customer.
Right. Okay. And so what's the reception been like with that initial product launch, with the reps and to the dealers themselves? And is it just, you've got features that are sellable for sure, it seems like. Were they looking for just other alternatives to this category?
Yeah, so I think the category in general, there's a lot of people on the higher end part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Samsung came in and kind of upended the outdoor TV market. They kind of, they were Sur and Sunbright for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and which is what Samsung did is great for everybody because now more consumers want outdoor TV. As you mentioned, you know, outdoor entertainment is exploding, not only in TVs, but appliances. People are building bars out here. Even Architectural Digest did a story about outdoor entertainment and how it's really a big thing homeowners want when they build a house. And so um, it's a good time to be in it because more people are spending more time outdoors, quality time outdoors. And we see that with our product too. Our reps are really excited about it. I think our probably the biggest challenge early is we have to show it. So we've been participating in a lot of trade shows, CEDIA tech summits, and rep trade shows, and some distributor trade shows as well. And all of our reps have one at their facility so they can show customers. And once people see it, see how bright it is, see how well it's made, they're really excited about it.
Well, and that's great, and of course, margin is a huge thing as well. So that definitely helps tell the story. But well, let's expand then beyond your outdoor TVs and talk about some of the other introductions as well. And portable TV is a category that you see the other major manufacturers getting into. Different attempts at that, whether it's a fun projector type thing where the Gen Z can project it onto the ceiling, or just be able to take something and go, maybe for a tailgate or something like that for any generation. So is that kind of the idea there on the portable companion display?
Yeah, so this is a fun product. This is, I have to say, in all my years, there's only been a few plasma was obviously one of them, but this portable thing is really a game changer. You know, I'm old enough to remember that when you want to get a portable TV, it was a 12-inch screen with an antenna. Maybe you got a 13-inch with a DVD combo, God forbid. Um, Usually pink, no less. And those were really cool, and those sold really well. But the portable market, LG came out with a portable earlier this year, or late last year, for about $1,000. And we saw an opportunity there. And it's one of the first products our CEO showed me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, we have to do this." And what's really cool about it, here, I'm going to go grab it real quick here, just to give you an idea. It's a 24-inch TV, which is for CI. It's great for kitchens, bathrooms. If you think about it, there's no small TVs anymore. There's only 42 inches, which don't fit into kitchen. So this is a great kitchen set. Of
Right.
course, I'm burying the lead because it's got no wires.
Nice.
Got a nice little handle here on the side. How heavy is it? It's like a fat chihuahua, I like to say. Does have an HDMI input. I'm playing one of your podcasts here
Yeah, I like
on
that.
the TV. Through YouTube because it does Google streaming. I'll put this down for now. But the key with this is the Google streaming, because now you can have all this entertainment, all these movies and TV shows, and for me, sports, that you can bring anywhere with you. So imagine you're driving in a car and your kids are upset, and you use your phone as a hotspot, put in their laps. This can be charged from your home, your car, or your RV, the latter two with an adapter. But you can hook it up, plug it into the car, and run Disney for 8 hours, and you're never here. Are we there yet? Which is the famous road trip comment I always hear.
Yep.
But it's great for tailgating, great for camping. I think it's great for a kid's room. For me, it's like on 8 o'clock at night. I love to bring it out and put on a basketball game. My Knicks lost the last round, so I'm not happy about that. You may be, because if you're a
I,
Midwest guy.
I am very happy about it. Yeah, sorry about that though.
Yes,
Great Knicks team. I give it to you. They fought through a lot of adversity there, but
they
it
did, and once Brunson broke his hand in the second half, it was over. Anyway, but it's great to bring around and watch. And the cool thing, it can be charged even from a solar panel outdoors. It can be charged from a portable generator. And so there's lots of different ways you can bring this and watch this. But the key is it's all that content that comes with you. In the old days, you just had the local channels and then one DVD or 5 DVDs you brought with you. Now you have a million movies you can choose from anywhere in place. And the best part, the price point is only $3.99 retail. And so you get all this entertainment in a very small price. I like to compare this. Our channel knows Sonos really well. You have a product called Sonos Move, where you can take that speaker and move it anywhere. This is kind of like the version of Move for video, for streaming purposes. You can charge it, but you can take it anywhere and watch TV. So, as you can tell, I'm really excited about this. I think it's a game changer in our business, even for CI. And we're going to obviously sell this at some retail locations as well.
That's really cool, and it's great industrial design too. I like that handle on there. That gives a nice, elegant quality as well.
Yeah.
It was funny. You reminded me of my dad when my brothers were a lot younger than I was, and so I was already off to college, and they were still doing the road trips and stuff. And my little brother, they had like a little Sony TV, a little portable Sony TV, and they would take that in the car, and it would only receive local channels as they went past a major city or metropolitan area, and they'd pick up whatever was on. And I don't know how that was entertaining, but you were just grabbing random television just to have it, So we've come a long way on the streaming stuff for sure, on portable.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
Yeah, for sure. But that looks like a cool product, and then I didn't realize I'd kind of missed the news earlier this year about the canvas art display. So you've got your it resembles something else in the channel or in the market as well,
Yes.
but a very, very popular category of TV. And I think that to have another option there, this is something that every consumer who wants just a nice, elegant solution for a TV in a family environment in a home, doesn't look like a big black thing on the wall, is going to be excited about this option in the category.
So we have Canvas TV coming. It's about 2 months out, so we'll be launching at CEDIA.
Okay.
We have 3 sizes: 55, 65, and 75. Just a few things that's cool about us. It's got Google Streaming, and I'll tell you why that's cool. It's because Google has a bunch of art it comes with Google. It has nothing to do with us, that you can use on here. Even tells you the artist name on it, which is really cool. We'll have a nice cherry wood frame that's around it, that's included in the box. And then one big or two big things that we do different than the other guy is that we'll have 100 pieces of art free in the box.
Wow.
So you don't have to do a subscription service. There are plenty of subscription services you can do, but we'll start you out with 100. You can obviously use family photos as well, and you can use videos as well. The other cool thing is that they have a separate box called One Connect.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a One Connect box. The beauty of doing this second.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's self-enclosed. It still hangs like a picture.
Nice.
We showed it just recently at a show here in Tola Builder Show.
Mm-hmm.
Got rave reviews. Everyone's really excited about it. So that's going to be kind of our entry into indoors in a big way.
Okay, yeah, that's really great. If you can make a step into that category, I think that could be huge for you, because again, that's what everybody. I even talked to my brother-in-law knows nothing about our channel. He's like, this is I want to get one of these, and not going to say the name because this is your podcast. But I want to get one of these. And I said, yeah, I would too. It's just, I don't have the right spot for it. But I get, when I go into a house, and it's like a tour of a integrated home, like the best ones always just have that type of application. Nobody just wants a dead black, rectangle on their wall if they've got an interior designer, designing their home. So this is a great option for folks to have just another.
It's really awesome, and it's like, it's kind of mind-boggling that nobody else has tried. I mean, I know people have tried. Sony's tried. Sony's doing something with Leon now, and
Right.
but I think this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring products that are not Me Too, that are innovative, that allow us to grab some share, not number one, but some share. And then we listen to the consumer. So on our tour, we talked about this product. A lot of people said to us, we love this product, but we would like to get better video on it because the video is not great. So we really worked hard to make sure the video is really good on it. And then we worked hard on the One Connect box and other features. I think that there's obviously room for lots of players. I'm sure there'll be more after we make our announcement, but we're really excited about it, and it gives us a way to kind of put a star on our entrance into the in-home market.
Yeah, and so I guess to wrap up, I know you're connected with the channel, and it's great that you're getting out in the field and actually getting feedback and all of that. And I know that one of the things that always comes up is just the service aspect to it. They want to know there's someone that they can call, and the better companies they've always had, even if they're a large manufacturer that's international, they've got someone who is reachable through some private custom install sort of hotline, you know what I mean, or some kind of a help desk thing if they need it. And this is not a category that necessarily is going to need it that often, but a new product, new brand. What is your kind of strategy just for working with the channel on support?
So we've really thought about service. So we do have a national association of retail service centers that will go out to the home. Two things on that. Our outdoor TVs, the way they're made, it's really cool. The PC board is separated from the panel and then connected by one wire. There's two reasons we do that. One, it's easier to service the PC board. You don't have to open up the panel. But two, the heating of the PC board will not affect the panel, and vice versa. The heating of the panel doesn't affect the PC board. We wrap the PC board in aluminum, which helps with cooling. And then, service is hard because the installer has to come out, take the product down, and then the service center comes out. If it's a panel, it's a replacement. If it's a board, we try to replace the board. If it happens in the first few weeks or a month, we'll try to do a replacement because nobody wants to fix a brand new TV.
Right.
But I think when I tell service centers all the time, I did it Fujitsu as well. My advice to them is find a service center in your area. Take them out to lunch. One, nobody does that. We ignore these people as part of our business. And then when we need them, we call them up in a panic and expect them to drop everything. Take them out to lunch, talk to them about your business, tell them what you need. And I guarantee you that guy will bend over backwards for you in the future. And it's just like anything else in our business. When you create a relationship with a vendor, with a partner, that person then becomes part of your organization and wants to help. No different than if they call me with a problem, I'm going to get on it and handle it quickly. But I really think it's kind of a lost art. We should really be engaging with these service centers in a big way. We did that at Fujitsu in places like New York and California, had high success where the guy worked exclusively for the rep, actually. And we need to do more of that, I think.
And just as far as like availability of the established lines, I know you're working on the new one that's coming out, but as far as the outdoor product availability, if folks were ready to start selling that haven't been working with you, you've got pretty good volume production
Yeah.
there.
So full sun's available now. The partial sun, 55 and 65 is shipping next month, like middle to end of June. And then 75 will be here in July. And then, as I said, canvas will be coming around August and September timeframe,
Yeah.
in time for CEDIA.
So we'll see a nice big display there at CEDIA, seeing that
Yes.
product operational. That'd be really cool. Well, I'm sure you'll feel a lot more like, sort of settled in by the time I see you at CEDIA than you were a year ago when
Oh
you were
yeah,
there.
I was drinking out of a fire hose a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell. I mean, I'm like that just the entire time I'm at CEDIA because I'm trying to absorb everything that I'm learning. But I could just tell like you're learning it as you're telling me about it, and it's all new. So that's great. You've come a long way in a year. So the product sounds like it's really coming along. The lines are coming around, rounding out really well. So great talking to you and learning all about this. And I'm excited about the new stuff and the established products as well. So thanks for your time today, Mike.
Great. Thanks for having me, and look forward to watching it again.
Yeah. Try to stay cool there in Austin. It's probably just gonna get hotter, right?
Oh yeah, this is the cool part.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mike Gleason is Director of Sales at Skyworth USA. You can learn more about the Skyworth product lines at skyworthusa.com. And that wraps up today's show, which was produced by Residential Tech Today, IPW, and Pretty Easy Podcasts. If you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you watched or listened to this episode. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at our magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to our print or digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Thursday email newsletters. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, lighting specialist to Residential Tech.
Home automation, smart device, home or smart house.